sorts of other reasons, style and so on, the design and what they do. And this is captured by, again, this stuff is abstract, is by assuming that the typical person has this variety, that has this, these preferences for variety. So what we're showing here is that you get utility from consuming goods and from consuming quantity QI of each good, but that good is just a variety. And so, all else being the same, the greater the variety of goods you consume, the better. Yeah? And this is what's going to be behind people's sort of wishes to buy from a more diverse set of car manufacturers. Is that not all, they will naturally like this variety and they will value it. Now the firms, it's very, very simple. We are assuming there are increasing returns to scale. What this means, of course, is that it translates directly to costs. Constant returns to scale means that the average cost of production is always the same. Decreasing returns to scale means that the average cost of production is going to go up. Increasing returns to scale, it means that it goes down. So if you remember your first year introductory micro, when we produced an average cost curve that was U-shaped, remember, what we were saying is that for some time there are going to be increasing returns to scale, then when you reach the bottom, you actually have constant returns to scale at the minimum, and then you have decreasing returns to scale. And what we always captured was the increasing part, and we said these decreasing returns to scale are going to be translated into increasing marginal costs. So then we always represented the equilibrium of a competitive firm as being the intersection of a price, a horizontal demand, and an upward sloping marginal cost. So this is, in two words, increasing returns to scale is the same thing, really, as decreasing average costs. The simple way to capture decreasing average costs is to go for a cost technology that looks like this. So the marginal cost is constant, is C. Yeah? So marginal, remember, it should now be automatic in year 3. Marginal interpret derivative. So the derivative of the cost with respect to the quantity is constant, is C. But the average cost includes that a fraction of the fixed cost that is going to be distributed over each unit, and that and so the average cost is going to decrease with the quantity. Yeah, as you can see from going from equation 1 to equation 2. So this is the total cost of producing the quantity Q, and this is the average cost of producing a certain quantity Q. The marginal cost is constant, but the more you produce, the more you dilute or distribute the fixed cost over a greater quantity. So in my example, it's a big factory. You just build this huge factory, and if you're only producing 10 units, then you have to distribute your F, that same cost, over 10 units. If you're producing 1 million, then obviously your average cost of production is going to be much, much smaller. So that's the crucial thing, and that's a very basic idea. Large firms, so think big car manufacturers and so on, will become more efficient as they increase the quantity they produce because of internal economies of scale. Now, what is it that firms are going to do? Well, rather than working with competitive firms, we have to work with monopolistic, with firms with some market power. Basic reason, as you know, if you're a competitive firm, the only possible equilibrium is price equals marginal costs. But if the price equals the marginal costs, you would never be able to recover those fixed costs. In other words, going for increasing returns to scale and perfect competition with price equals marginal costs simply does not work. It's incompatible. So the only way you're ever able to make money, if you want, recover those fixed costs, is by having some market power. So it's no longer true that the price will be equal to the marginal cost, there is some demand for your product that is downward sloping. Of course, how much you sell depends crucially on what other firms are doing, but it's always going to be the case that your demand is going to increase as you decrease your price. Yeah? So this is the reason that you get a downward sloping demand curve. You have some market power. I know that if I'm a Fiat, I know that for particular models, if I reduce my price, I'm going to be able to sell more. In part, this is because people that would have bought cars produced by other firms would now switch to my model or models. Yeah? But there's always going to be some preference towards my models, my variety. So this is Mickey Mouse introductory econ. So here's the demand, and you're a firm with some monopoly power. That is, you face a downward sloping demand rather than facing a horizontal demand equal to the market price. And so you face that downward sloping demand. What you're going to do is equalize your maximize your profits by equalizing the marginal revenue to the marginal cost. This has always been true throughout your economics. Your marginal revenue with a linear demand is just a line with twice the slope as the demand curve. And your marginal cost is there, it's the C, and it's constant. So what you're going to do is, it makes sense to produce this quantity Qm, and I will be setting a price equal to PM. Effectively, what you do remember is any firm with monopoly power is to choose the point on the demand. And so what you say is, I want you to go there. And that means why? Because that's the point where my marginal revenue intersects my marginal cost. Will I be making money? Yes. Where is the profit? I'm getting PM for each of the cars I produce. The average cost is equal to AC, so my profit, my margin is just PM minus AC times the number of cars I produce QM. Yeah? So this rectangle is the monopoly profits. Now, here's a simple demand curve for each variety or each firm. So the quantity, why is it a demand curve? Well, as you can see, it gives you the relation between the quantity bought of your product and the price you set. There's a minus there, so it's clearly downward sloping. However, because you are going to be one producer of cars, you're just one variety out of several, you're going to be competing with lots of other varieties, and that's captured by this P-bar here. So what matters really is not what my price is, but what my price is relative to the average price charged by the competitors, the P-bar. Yeah? So this is the notation. P is my price, the price charged for my models or my cars. The P-bar is the average price charged by competitors. Yeah? So within a certain range of quality and prices, then this is the price that they charge. And so every time my price increases relative to the price of my competitors, my demand should shrink, and every time my price decreases relative to the price of my competitors, my demand should increase. And that's what's well captured by this bit here. Yeah? Now, there are two other things I have mentioned. First is S. This is the total sales in the industry. So this is saying, this is telling you how many cars are actually going to be bought. And this could well, of course, depend on the standard of living. It's going to depend on the size of the market. So tiny Luxembourg has an S that is very, very small compared to gigantic China. Yeah? So this S is going to capture the total sales, so the size of the market. And M is going to be the number of fairs, the number of firms offering variety. So this could be, M could be number of car manufacturers. Yeah? So what we have in here is something that should be very, very intuitive. So the demand for my product depends positively on the size of the market, on the size of the economy. All else being the same, that is, ceteris paribus, controlling for prices and controlling for the number of firms in an economy, the greater the size of the market, the more I will sell. Yeah? So that's the first thing. And the second thing is nearly the opposite. All else being the same, controlling for the size of the market, the greater the number of varieties out there, so the greater the number of car manufacturers out there, the smaller the fraction of total demand I will get. Yeah? Is that all right? So this is a very simple demand function that captures quite a lot of the stuff that we need. Yeah? And what we're going to do is to then say, firms are all going to be symmetric. Yeah? They're offering different things, but ultimately they're going to have access to the same technology, so that cost function is going to be the same for all of them, and there is no reason why they wouldn't be setting the same price. Yeah? So people, what we have here is an abstraction, but it's just to simplify things, and there would be nothing gained by changing this to try to be more realistic. What we're saying is that people will be facing lots of varieties of cars. They will all in equilibrium cost the same, but because they are different, some will have a different design, some will be more powerful, some will have different characteristics, they will be willing to buy them all. So the typical agent or in the economy, there will be demand for all of them, yeah? Because they cost the same, but they are different products, yeah? So that's this product differentiation. So as you can see, go back to this, and I'll stop there. In equilibrium, if the price that you set is just equal to the average price charged by your competitors, then this P is equal to the P bar, yeah? The price that firm 1 sets is the same as the price set by firm 2, etc. And so the quantity that you sell is not too surprisingly simply equal to the total number of car sales divided by the number of car manufacturers, N. Is that all right? Yeah? So if the market out there is 1 million cars per year, if you have 10 car manufacturers, each one of them will get 100,000. If you have 20 car manufacturers, each one will get 50,000. Yeah? Is that all right? And I will start here on, what is it? Tuesday. Yeah? Have a good weekend.